But we were going to change the world, and we knew it. And it wasn't a question of whether or not, it was a question of how. And what kind of world we could make it. And what kind of people we might become. We cannot develop our minds at the expense of the rest of the planet. But we all need to have a relationship with the world using our hands. And we've got Harvard College students doing manual labor in a garden. We're all here for different reasons, and I'm sure we have different goals. Maybe we want to advance our career, make a better salary. Maybe we want to make the world a better place. Or maybe we're here just to improve our minds. But this university is not here for any of those reasons, not even to improve our minds. This university is here for one reason and one reason only, and it says it on every one of those shields. This university is here to help us find the truth. We can find the truth studying it scientifically, or exploring it through the law, or through business, or express it through the arts. But if we go back out into the world and practice law, and we don't tell the truth, then we miss the point. And if we go into business and we don't tell the truth, then we miss the point. And if we study at the Kennedy School and we go into politics, and we don't tell the truth, then we miss the point entirely. Because this university is here to help us find what is true. But that's a question that's not so easily answered. What is true? What is real? Is the truth something that we can hold in our heads? Is it a product of the mind? Is it a bunch of facts and figures? Think about the Thanksgiving dinner, those of us who had a Thanksgiving dinner last week. You could get the best minds in the world to describe that dinner that you had. They could write about it, they could show videos of it, they could describe it any different way, but if they weren't there to smell the aromas, to taste the food, to touch the people, and to hear the stories, then they weren't there, and they don't know what the truth of that dinner was. Because the truth is not something that can be understood, it can only be experienced. And that's a question that's plagued humankind since the inception of the idea of a university for almost 2,500 years. How do we access the truth? So let's go back to the Greek philosophers who first began asking that question. We have any art historians here or philosophers that recognize this painting? Raphael. The School of Athens. The School of Athens by Raphael. And all the philosophers are there. We've got Socrates over here, and we've got Plato and Aristotle, and we've got Euclid here describing his geometric forms on the floor. And we've got Pythagoras writing down his theorem. And we've got Epicurus writing about the pleasures of the physical world, of sight, the things that we can touch and smell and taste and hear. And there's some debate about who all these figures are, but there's no debate about who the two central characters are. None at all, because they're Plato and Aristotle. And there's a lot of talk of what the significance of that is and what the significance of their postures are. Because Plato is pointing toward the heavens, and Aristotle is gesturing toward the earth. And Plato is saying that it's all about a higher consciousness, essentially, what we might call today a higher consciousness. That it's all about the mind, that it's all about the ideals, ideal forms and ideal concepts. And Aristotle is saying, wait a minute. He's saying, wait a minute, wait a minute. He's saying, what about the physical world, the world of particulars? The things that we can touch and taste and smell and feel and measure. The things that Epicurus is writing about. And I don't know that I need to tell you who won that debate. But Plato won it hands down, because this is a world where it's all about the mind. And we've forgotten about Aristotle's world. And I was born into Plato's world. I was born into a world where I was supposed to improve my mind. And I was born into a time that was a time of turbulence and chaos, because it was a world of truth seekers, just like the Greek philosophers were truth seekers. And it was a world of change. And I'll just give you a couple of images of what that world was like. On the left there we have Bobby Kennedy, who was assassinated for telling the truth about what was going on in Aristotle's world, where people live and love and bleed and die. And on the right, Martin Luther King, who was also assassinated for telling the truth about what was going on in Aristotle's world. And that was a generation that was full of rage. But we were going to change the world, and we knew it. And it wasn't a question of whether or not, it was a question of how. And what kind of world we could make it. And what kind of people we might become. But that battle has been lost a long time ago. And so now we are in an age of imagination. We are in an age where the mind is everything. Gary Hamel, one of the world's most influential business leaders, probably said it best. He said, for the first time in history, we can work backward from our imagination rather than forward from the past. And we are being told that if we use our imagination, then anything is possible. Perfect happiness, world peace, a green planet, unimaginable wealth. We're taught that imagination is more important than knowledge. That was Einstein. That perception is reality. We're taught to articulate a vision, to think different. Doesn't it matter if it relates to the real world, or does it just have to be different? And so we got this idea in our head that we needed a place where we could develop our minds and eliminate that physical world. We didn't want to be burdened by that physical world. The golden city on a hill. And we built those cities. We built them all over the world. We built them in London. And we built them in Singapore. And we built them in Shanghai. And we built them in Seattle. And that's a massive view of what's happening to the world. It's called globalization, and it's called urbanization. But the world is at a tipping point. It is now half urban and half rural. And what about those 3.4 billion people whose resources we need? Maybe we need that golden shining city on the hill, but what about them who don't live in a world where imagination is everything? Because this bifurcation between the world that we built for ourselves and what's left of the natural world, it simply won't work anymore. Because we need both. We need both imagination, but we need reality too. So those shining cities go outward. And a lot of people live in slums, and we're just destroying the planet in lots of different ways, and we've all heard these stories. And what's it done to our minds? We used to think of virtual reality, but now we're creating that reality all around us. And it's affecting our mind. We imagine more stuff, and then we see more images, and then we imagine more things, and we create more images. And where is it going to end? Then we go home, we can see more on our computers. But I can tell you one thing about this world, that there is no truth there. Because there is no real world, because we have destroyed it. We cannot develop our minds at the expense of the rest of the planet. Because we need both Aristotle and Plato. In 2012, the United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development. And that shows the world being held in our hands. And that's symbolic. But we all need to have a relationship with the world using our hands. I love using my mind, but I love using my hands too. And we're trying to build green cities. And here, even at Harvard, we've started a garden project where they're teaching kids how to grow their own food as a part of their academic education. And we've got Harvard College students doing manual labor in a garden. And that's the first time in history that we've decided that an academic education is not all about the mind, that it involves the body too. And that's a completely different perception of what an academic education is. And we can take that as a metaphor, or we can take it literally. And we can each do something. We can grow our own food. We can learn how to make our own furniture. We can do something with our hands. because there's value in that world. Thank you.